Today we are going to repair this monitor. It's a 1080p Samsung 22-inch LCD monitor. With this tutorial you can repair any type of monitor, LCD or LED, and all resolutions. To begin, we take apart the cabinet. First we'll need to get an universal LCD controller like this. They shipped me this box. It contains a remote control, the panel switches, and on the other end of the cable it contains an LED, and this is the infrared receiver for the remote. This is the ccfl backlight inverter for driving the backlight of the LCD panel. This is a 4 ccfl backlight inverter. This is a 6-pin connector for the inverter, and this is a lvds cable. This will carry the signal from the board to the panel, and this is the board itself. This is the real thing. It contains a VGA input, HDMI, RCA jacks, some audio in, headphones, and USB, analog TV in. It also contains an amplifier for speaker out. We'll have to note down the model of the panel. It's M215H1L03. We'll have to look for the characteristics of the panel online. Now this is an extremely important part. We need to first go to panellook.com. and enter the model number of the panel. We found it. The panel is a 1080p Full HD screen. It requires a 30-pin lvds to channel 8-bit connector, and the power supply is 5 volts, and this is the very important part. We'll need to first set the panel voltage to 5 volts in the controller board, otherwise we'll blow the panel with wrong voltages. Okay, so the jumper is set to 5 volt by default, so we don't need to change anything here. We'll need to program this board with a firmware which matches the characteristics of this panel so that they get married to each other. The programming will be done by a firmware which is specific to this board. So first we'll search for a firmware in the site where I purchased this controller. It says the firmware is here, so we'll just download that. So the download has started. We'll just wait for it to complete. Here is the downloaded file, and I have just extracted it. Now we'll need to search for an appropriate firmware from among all these files. There must be 1,000 files in there. We'll need to search for an appropriate firmware. So how do you do that? First, we'll try to search with the panel model. Okay, so I have found the exact firmware for this panel. So lucky that I found the exact firmware for this panel. If I couldn't find it, then we should have to try with a similar resolution, and most of the times they work. This is the 1920 into 1080 resolution. All these are the firmware files with the same resolution, and most of these should work. But since we have found the exact firmware, we are going to use that. Now we are going to copy this file into a pen drive. Now this is the file inside the pen drive. For this board, this is a V56 board, but this firmware is exactly for a V56R board. We need to rename the file to V56. We just delete the R. So it's done. We'll use a 12-volt adapter and connect it to the power jack, and then we have to connect the pen drive to the USB jack. Then we'll have to supply the power. Before we turn it on, we need to know the status of the programming. So we just connect the LED to the connectors. We have to connect the LED to the connectors, otherwise we won't be able to know the status of the programming. This is the LED. Now we turn on the power. This pattern of flashing indicates that the programming has been finished. Now the controller is married to this panel. You can also divorce this controller with this panel and marry it to a new panel with the same procedure. You just need to upload a new firmware with the same procedure. Now the most important part is connecting the lvds cable properly to the panel. See this marking? Align this marking with this yellow dot. Be careful, the pins can break easily. And now connect the other end of the lvds cable to the panel. Don't force it in, be patient with it. Done. Now we ought to connect the inverter. Be very careful with this inverter while operating. It contains voltages of up to 1000 volts. Now we need to connect the ccfl connectors of the panel with the inverter outputs. So everything is taken care of. Now we'll power on this panel. Fingers crossed. It works. I'll be damned. The menu is in Chinese and everything is in Chinese. I don't have the faintest idea of how to change the language. I don't have any idea how to change the language. So let's get into that. So we'll have to find out first how the Chinese writes language, the word language. Now we'll have to search for this symbol in the menu. Searching for that symbol. It's not in this menu, not even in this. There we go. Found it. Found those symbols. Damn. Bingo. Now we'll connect my laptop to this monitor and see if it works. It works. Look at that, it works. Just look at that. That's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked the video. Please subscribe for more. See you soon.